She is kneeling, not in prayer, not in exhaustion, but in something that looks, from a distance, almost like surrender. Her front legs are folded beneath her, her head is low, her eyes are half closed, and on her back, moving with purpose through the thick bristle of her coat, are 6 banded mongooses. This is the African savannah, and this is not surrender. This is one of the most efficient cleaning partnerships in the animal kingdom. But to understand why it works, and why it has to work, you need to start with the problem. The warthog, Phacochorus africanus, is not an animal that looks like it needs help. An adult male can weigh close to 150 kilograms. It carries 4 tusks, 2 upper, curving outward and upward to lengths of up to 60 centimeters, and 2 lower, shorter and razor sharp. When a warthog charges, which it does without hesitation, those lower tusks do the work. There are documented cases of warthogs injuring lions, killing leopards in self-defense, and driving entire packs of wild dogs away from a carcass. This is not a timid animal. This is an animal that has survived on the African savannah for millions of years by being willing to fight things considerably larger than itself. And yet, the enemy that costs this animal the most is not a lion. It is not a leopard. It is not a wild dog or a hyena or anything with teeth and speed and predatory intent. It is a tick. Specifically, many thousands of ticks, distributed across the ears, the neck folds, the thin skin behind the legs, the base of the tail, every warm, sheltered piece of skin that a small bloodsucker can reach and embed itself into. A single tick on a large mammal is barely a nuisance. 20 ticks is annoying. 200 ticks begins to cause real problems. A warthog carrying a heavy tick load is losing blood continuously. It is sleeping less. The constant irritation prevents deep rest. It is eating less efficiently because an animal that cannot sit still does not graze well. And it is at greater risk of tick-borne diseases, several of which are serious enough to weaken or kill an otherwise healthy animal over weeks or months. The warthog knows none of this in any analytical sense. What it knows is that something is wrong with its skin, and that nothing it does makes it better. It rubs against a tree, the ticks hold. It rolls in the dirt, the ticks hold. It shakes its head so hard that its tusks swing in wide arcs. The ticks in its ears barely register the movement. These behaviors are not useless. They reduce the load somewhat. But the ticks in the deep folds, behind the ears, in the creases of the skin, in the places the warthog simply cannot reach, those ticks are not going anywhere, not on their own. 3 kilometers to the north, in a termite mound that has been home to this particular family of banded mongooses for 11 months, the morning is beginning. Banded mongooses, Mongoose mungo, live in groups of between 10 and 40 individuals, all related, all interdependent in ways that are more complex than most people realize. This family has 23 members. The youngest, 3 weeks old, are still in the mound. The adults and juveniles who emerge first into the early light do so carefully. There is always a sentinel. Before the family spreads out to forage, one animal climbs to the highest point available, a termite mound, a rock, a low branch, and scans the surrounding landscape for threats. Martial eagles, caracals, lions. The sentinel's job is not to eat, it is to watch. And the alarm call system this species has developed is sophisticated enough that different calls communicate different types of threat, allowing the group to respond appropriately rather than simply fleeing every time. This matters because foraging takes time. A banded mongoose will eat insects, small reptiles, eggs, berries, scorpions, centipedes, essentially anything small enough to be caught and consumed. Finding enough food for 23 animals requires sustained, organized effort. The sentinel makes that effort possible. Without it, the anxiety of foraging in open ground where predators can approach from any direction would make efficient feeding nearly impossible. The family fans out across the red-brown soil of the savannah. The sentinel is in position. The foragers are working. And then, 200 meters ahead, there is a warthog. More precisely, there is a mother warthog and her two piglets, making their way through the short grass toward a patch of ground that the family uses regularly for morning feeding. The piglets are 6 weeks old. They are small enough to be taken by a large eagle, which is why the mother keeps them close. The lead mongoose stops. It is not the warthog that has caught its attention. Warthogs are familiar. They are not prey. They are not predators. They are usually just there, part of the background noise of the savannah. What has caught the mongoose's attention is something the warthog is carrying. The ticks are visible at the base of the warthog's ears, clustered, dark, engorged. For a mongoose, this is not a nuisance. This is a calorie source. The mongoose moves toward the warthog carefully, slowly, one step at a time, reading the larger animal's response at each step. The warthog sees it coming. She does not run. She does not charge. Something in the way the mongoose is moving, low, non-threatening, clearly not a predator approach, communicates intent. Not through language, not through conscious thought, but through the accumulated experience of this specific warthog, which has been cleaned before. She kneels. The front legs fold. The head drops. The body presents itself for cleaning in a posture that every mongoose that has done this before will recognize immediately. The first mongoose steps onto her shoulder, then a second onto her flank, then 4 more. Each finds a section of the warthog's body and begins to work. The work is systematic. The mongooses are not moving randomly across the warthog's skin. Each animal works a defined area, not because they have consciously divided the territory, but because each is following its own efficient search pattern, which naturally distributes them across the available surface. The ticks are found by touch and by smell. When a mongoose finds one, it bites precisely, removing the tick without tearing the warthog's skin. Then it swallows and moves to the next location. The warthog barely moves. This is the remarkable part. An animal that has been in almost constant motion, shaking, twitching, rubbing, has gone completely still. Its breathing has slowed. The ear that has been twitching non-stop for hours is now flat against the skull as a mongoose works the crease where the ear meets the head. The relief is not metaphorical. It is physiological. The body of an animal whose skin is finally being properly tended is releasing the accumulated tension of hours of failed self-treatment. The piglets watch from a short distance. They are learning. This specific behavior, the willingness to kneel for mongooses, to hold still, to allow small animals onto the body, is not fully innate. It is learned. The piglets who grow up watching their mothers accept this service will be more likely to accept it themselves. The behavior propagates through the warthog population, not through genetics, but through observation. The cleaning has been going on for 9 minutes when the sentinel mongoose gives the alarm. Not the sound for aerial predator, not the sound for snake, the sound for large ground predator. The family moves immediately, every mongoose on the ground sprinting toward the termite mound, the sentinel dropping from its position and running. The warthog rises from her knees in one motion and moves toward the bush, the piglets close behind her. A lioness has appeared from the tree line to the west. She is not hunting. Her posture is relaxed, her pace unhurried. But she is moving through this territory, and on the African savannah, a lioness moving through your territory is always worth taking seriously. The mongoose family reaches the termite mound and pours inside. The warthog disappears into a thorn thicket with her piglets. The lioness walks through the clearing without altering her pace, without looking toward either hiding place with any particular focus. She passes. She continues north. The clearing is quiet. 4 minutes later, the sentinel mongoose emerges from the termite mound. It climbs to the highest point and scans. The lioness is visible in the far distance, still moving north. The sentinel calls, the all clear, and the family begins to emerge, one animal at a time, until all 23 are back on the surface. On the other side of the thorn thicket, the warthog has also been waiting. She emerges with her piglets, reads the open ground the same way the mongoose sentinel does, and moves back toward the clearing. The two families meet again within minutes of the all clear. The warthog kneels again. The mongooses return to their work exactly where they left off, as if the interruption never happened. The practiced ease of this resumption suggests that both species understand not just the cleaning transaction itself, but the interruption and resumption pattern that goes with it on a predator-filled savanna. Both sides have adapted not just to the partnership, but to the conditions under which the partnership operates. The cleaning continues. The ear folds are working now, the area that the warthog has never been able to reach herself, where the ticks have been building for days. 3 mongooses are working the left ear alone. The warthog's ear, which was twitching earlier with a particular rapid flutter that indicates deep irritation, is now completely still. What is happening inside that ear fold is uncomfortable. Small animals probing a sensitive area, but the net result is relief, and the warthog's nervous system knows the difference. 34 minutes after it began, the cleaning session ends. Not with any signal or ceremony. The ticks have become less abundant. The reward per unit of effort has dropped below the threshold that keeps mongooses interested, and one by one they step down and resume foraging. The warthog rises, shakes once from head to tail, and leads her piglets away across the savanna. There is no acknowledgement, no signal between the species that marks the end of the transaction. One moment they are a cleaning station. The next moment they are simply 2 different species moving in different directions across the same piece of African ground. What was between them has been taken by both. The ticks that cost the warthog rest and blood and comfort are gone. The calories that will fuel the mongooses through the rest of the morning are inside them. The sentinel is back on the termite mound. The warthog is grazing with her piglets 50 meters away. The savanna is exactly what it always is: indifferent, demanding, and in its own particular way, balanced. This partnership is old. Fossil evidence in the current distribution of both species across sub-Saharan Africa suggests that some version of this relationship has been operating for a very long time, long enough that both species have adapted to it in ways that go beyond simple opportunism. The warthog's kneeling posture is not accidental. The mongoose's systematic cleaning approach is not random. These are refined behaviors, shaped by generations of mutual benefit into something that looks, from the outside, almost like a deliberate arrangement. It is not, but it has the same outcome as one would. In nature, the most durable partnerships are not the ones built on affection or loyalty or conscious choice. They are the ones built on aligned self-interest, on situations where what is good for one party is also, structurally, good for the other. The mongoose wants ticks. The warthog wants to be rid of ticks. The savanna provides the conditions under which both animals can meet that need, and 10,000 years of living in the same landscape has refined the process into the efficient transaction we see this morning. The sentinel mongoose is still on the mound. The afternoon heat is building. The warthog family has moved to a patch of shade. In a few hours, when the temperature drops and the evening feeding begins, the mongooses will be out again. If the warthog family is in the same area, they may meet again, or they may not. There is no arrangement, no schedule, no commitment. Just 2 families navigating the same savanna, occasionally arriving at the same place at the same time with the same set of complementary needs. And when that happens, the warthog kneels, and the mongooses get to work.